Hello, folks. Ross O'Loughlin here, and really excited for this video today because we're going to be talking about something that I'm actually really excited to share, which is the packaging presentation. Right, we're going to be walking you through here the sales video framework that I've created essentially for you to be able to create sales videos that don't suck, but also B are going to be just really effective at helping you do a great job with short-term conversions, but also converting people over the long term as well, right? Now, one of the things that we'll want to be talking through here is, have we got some noise in the background here? Give me one sec. Real live streaming. Here we go. Sorry for the distraction. I'm not sure if there's some noise in the background. There was a phone going wild. But what we're going to talk about today is how to create a sick epic sales video that's going to do a lot of the conversion work that you're hoping will happen in the short term when people are first coming into your world. But doing it in a way where, look, if you've been following conversion engineering for any length of while, you know that what we really focus on here is maximizing conversions over the long term, not just on what's going to convert really, really snappily in the short term, but maybe pushing people into, freak, scarcity, urgency, all those sorts of things. So lots to cover. So let's kind of dive in here. One of the things that we're just want to talk about first is there is going to be a workbook. If you haven't got your copy, you can just go below this video. It's going to be a link. If you're watching the recording, it'll be lower down on the page you're watching this. If you're on YouTube right now, just check out the description. You can click that link, and in there will be a page. You can opt in. You can grab a copy of this workbook. And here, what you've got, we're going to talk through the initial prospect experience here in a second, how and why I've designed the sales video framework to work in a certain way. We'll have the actual video script overview here. We're going to talk through this. There's also going to be a sample script that you can access down here. If you click that button, that link, it'll take you to actually a live version of, or it'll take you to a document that has the actual full fleshed out script for my highest converting video, along with a link to see it live in the wild, right? Also here, we're going to talk through just your offer qualifiers, how to identify uh, the best way to qualify people in your video, right? One of the things we're going to be doing in this video a lot is making sure that people know exactly who you're talking to, right? We want to be able to, like, the with any video, right? Like, what you really need to get good at is calling the audience out so they know it's going to be worth their time to pay attention, right? Like with a sales page, people can kind of scan it, right? It's hard to scan a video and find the things that are worth paying attention to, right? So what you want to be able to do is right up front make sure that we're calling out to people early. Yo, if you're this type of person, this is going to be worth the watch, right? And to do that, we want to be able to qualify people real fast. So we're going to talk about the offer qualifiers. We're going to walk you through the New Hope story, central to everything that we're going to do here with this video script, and also your origin story, right? So there's a lot of stuff in here. You can grab that workbook just by going below, clicking the button, and grabbing your copy. But without further ado, let's kind of get stuck in here and talk about the problem, right? We'll want to talk about kind of what this sales video framework is trying to solve for, right? Because in my experience, videos work great. Videos are an amazing way to convert people if you can get them done right. But like, there's a lot of ways you could do videos. I see a lot of sales videos in the online space, and they really turn me off, right? They're not who I don't want to be using that style of marketing, messaging, or video in my business. Not because there's anything wrong with it, right? Not that doesn't work. It's just, it's not my vibe. It's not my style. And so I wanted to be able to create series of videos or be able to create a framework to come up with sales videos that did fit my style, right? And who I modeled a lot of this after is good old Steve Jobs here, right? Because I love Steve Jobs. I'm not sure if you've watched any of his presentations. So back in the day where he was like introducing the iPhone and the iPad, but they are masterful. And that's the vibe I wanted to be giving off, right? More so that and less so like the direct response. We're selling widgets and, the text on the screen, You know what I mean? Like that standard kind of online marketing sales video that just isn't my vibe, right? And so let's kind of talk through what we're going for here and the problem that we're solving for. Um, and the first issue is that, like, for a lot of folks, new leads don't engage, right? We're going to talk more about this with the initial prospect experience in a second. But for a lot of people, if you're playing a long term game, um, you want to be seeing your new leads engage early, right? When someone opts in, right, you have a small little window where you can start building that relationship, or else you're going to lose them forever. And if your new leads, if you don't have a high proportion of leads engaging, it's because there's something not quite right with how they're absorbing your initial message, right? They don't think you're worth paying attention to. And that's often because people don't believe. They don't believe you. They don't believe your solution. They don't believe your approach, right? There's a lot of skeptical folks on the internet. And if they don't believe you're worth paying attention to or that you have anything worth saying, they're not really going to stick around, right? And we have to work on building those beliefs with the video early on, okay? The other big issue I saw is that webinars are a huge commitment, right? Like it's really easy for us on the on the business side of things to be thinking, well, I'm just going to craft this 2 hour webinar and that's how I'm going to get new people to like learn about me and whatnot. But asking brand new people who've never heard of you to like sit through a 2 hour webinar early on, like you either have to have an amazing reputation pre-built or you need to have like your copywriting down so sharp like to get them in to be committed to watching a 2 hour webinar, particularly early on in the relationship. An hour, 2 hour workshop later on for folks that are engaged, totally fine. But like 2 hour webinars up early, like that's a big ask, right? But the other issue is that for a lot of folks, the alternative to a webinar is a VSL, and most VSLs are just kind of tacky, right? Like there's that certain style of like the text on the screen and the rhythm, and someone like is basically reading out a sales letter, and like it works. I'll give it that, right? There's a lot of businesses have been built with video sales letters, but like it's just not the style that a lot of businesses want to lean into. And there doesn't seem to be any alternative out there. So I was like, okay, how can we actually come up with a solution to solve that, right? Where the clients that I want to work with have a way for them to sell with video without it being this like direct marketing style of a VSM, right? So that's what we're going to talk about today. And what I want to share with you are kind of the key principles. We're going to fly through these quick because I want to get into actually the video script framework, dive into that, and help you map out the key components of what you're going to need, right? That's really what I want to talk about. So let's go through the key principles of how you're going to actually construct a packaging presentation and get this sales video working in a way that feels awesome. So key principle number one is you need to package your ideas, right? If you're offering any sort of education, like a course or a program, right? You're not selling a widget, right? You're not selling an iPhone. It's easy for Steve Jobs to show up the iPhone and click on the thing and like tangibly interact with it, right? And for you to be able to see how the product works and why it's potentially better than other ones. It's hard to do that with education, right? What you're selling are ideas and you're selling intellectual property. And if you want people to resonate with that, you have to package them in a certain way. And what I find the ideas you really need to package to kind of articulate why your program, framework, system, approach, solution is what people are looking for is you need to tell the stories. You need to tell the stories that are behind it, right? The origin story, like we have up here, where it came from, what was the problem you were looking to solve, what was the unique mechanism, right, that you have developed, and then what is the New Hope story, right? You might not have heard of the New Hope story. Is the framework I use here whenever I'm helping folks with uh, get their messaging and their sales videos down. And the New Hope story is the story of the market, right? The person that you're talking to is in the market and they've been looking for a solution, and you need to be able to tell them their story of why it's failed in the past so that you can offer new hope that what you're putting in front of them is different and is going to get them the results. So when we talk about packaging your ideas, that's what we're talking about. Next, we need to open with hope, right? This is something that Steve Jobs was amazing at, but all the time he would offer hope for a better future through the technology and innovation that he was introducing into the marketplace. Now, you don't need to have insanely revolutionary device like the iPhone for you to be able to deal or to be able to open with hope or to be able to use this framework. What you do need, though, is to be able to clearly articulate why there is hope for the right type of person. All right. So you need to be able to say, if you're this person in this context who's been dealing with this problem and has tried these things and it hasn't worked, I've got something for you. Right. Then we want to demo like flex tape, right? I'm not sure if you've seen the flex tape commercials, but they're amazing, right? But what we really want to be able to do is demonstrate the problem and then demonstrate the solution, right? A lot of people don't spend enough time trying to figure out a powerful demonstration, but if you have one, it's incredibly powerful. Once you've demonstrated, then you want to be able to close with proof, right? If you want to be able to do an amazing job collecting as much proof as possible in your business and then being able to illustrate that, in fact, what you were talking about, what you've demonstrated works, and not just because the person can see the demonstration, but also because you can close with proof and show illustrations and examples of it actually having worked in the real world for other people. And then what we want to do is compress the argument. Okay. What do I mean by compress the argument? Well, the reason that a lot of these webinars are like 2 hours is because there's a lot of stuff to cover. We got to answer all these objections, and this person needs to hear that, and that person needs to hear this. The issue is not all of it is relevant. And particularly if you're dealing with sophisticated or busy marketplaces, i.e., successful people, they haven't got a lot of time, right? And what you want to be able to do is get your entire message across early in one 20-25 minute video so that they know this person's worth paying more attention to. And a great way to do that is by referencing other parts of the argument. So you're going to compress it, and then you're going to have a reference sheet where it's like, if you're interested in this, check out this video below. And you're just going to splice out chunks of your sales argument, have it elsewhere on the page, and people can then check that out if it's relevant, or if it's not, they're going to trust, well, they've answered that objection or they've dove into that there. I don't really want to do it, but there's a 20-minute video on that. So my guess is like they have a solution to it, right? That's the idea. And so what we want to be able to do is get everything across in that first, like the essence of what we're talking about in that first 20-minute video. So we're not asking people or expecting them to sit around for 2 hours before we even get into what our offer is. All right. So those are the core principles that we're going to be talking about. And really what I want to get into here is exactly why we want to do that. Okay. So if we look at the page here with the initial prospect experience, we can just imagine we have a new person coming in the front door, right? Coming in the front door of your business. And this is a timeline. So this is the duration of time that they're going to be paying attention to your stuff. Now, in my experience, most people don't buy now, meaning they don't buy in the first 30 or 90 days. Most people buy later. But most people decide whether you are someone to pay attention to and whether they might potentially buy from you at some stage. Definitely they make that decision in the first 90 days or in the first few days of being on your list. And so what you want to be able to do is get your argument across and your positioning across early, concisely, and in a compelling, educational, and engaging way so that they know, yo, this person's worth paying attention to. I'm going to stay on their list and hear what they have to say. I'm not immediately ready to solve this problem right now, but this person might be someone to pay attention to for the future. Right. And so what we need to be able to do is have a really compelling argument in this little window here. This could be the first 7 to 14 days where they are paying attention to us, right? How are we getting our message across to them then? So that if they're ready to buy somewhere down here on 6 months in, or in some cases 12 months in, right? We've gotten our positioning across to them. And that's really what we want to be doing. Is not necessarily going for the sale and going for the throat right here initially. We can do that, and you will see that there's a lot of people who will come in and they will take the direct path into your sales process through what I'm talking about here. But that's not the only path that we are having an objective of this video with, right? There's another path, which is, yo, I'm trying to get everything across so I know the follow-up over the next 3 to 6 months is really what's going to win you over and get you into my business. Okay. So that's what we're talking about here with the initial prospect experience. And it's why we want to construct this video in this way. We want to have it nice and tight, 20 minutes, for the first video, or if you're doing like a 4-part, how would you describe it, on-demand training series, which I've had a lot of success with, and a lot of people are starting to use these days. You want that first 20-minute video to get everything across, so the person can drip into the additional videos over the coming couple of weeks. But that first 20-minute session is where the essence of what you're talking about gets across and how you can help that person. Okay, so let's kind of talk through the script here and the script structure, right? Because I want to kind of do two things today. A lot of this is going to be useful. You can definitely check out the more detailed actual script walkthrough here. And just deleting the notes here from an actual training session I did with the clients recently. But if you want the full script, go bottom right here and you can grab that. You can grab that there, right? But there's 3 parts to the script, 3 chapters. There's the opening, there's the argument, and there's the close, right? The opening here, you want to be getting through that in about 2 to 4 minutes, right? Most people who come into your world, they'll click on the first video and they'll give you 2 minutes. As long as you get your opening right, they'll give you 2 minutes. And you want to get the core essence across in 2 minutes. Not only that, you want to have your new hope hook, meaning, hey, if you're this person in this context, I have a solution that is hopeful for you. Here's the initial proof that this actually works. And if you're interested and you're short on time, like, here's the next step on how to move forward. And we want to do that in 2 to 4 minutes. And then we can say, okay, for the looky-loos, the people short on time and just kind of checking it out, we've got that across. Now we can kind of take the pressure off. And in the next 10 minutes or so, we can articulate the core essence of our solution, our program, the problem we're solving, how we've solved the problem, and the essence of our solution. And then we can get into the offer at the end there in the close, right? And then this is really where at the end you kind of lay on the proof, where you got a guarantee, case studies, and hardcore call to action to take the next step, whether that's to book a sales call, whether it's to start a chat, or just go to your sales page and actually buy, right? But this is the high level structure. And what really comes down to it right here is the New Hope story. And the New Hope story is what you're going to be articulating here right at the start, right? With your New Hope hook. You're going to be pulling out the New Hope story and shaping it into a nice hook, right? So that it's immediately relevant, important, and urgent to that person. That's really what a great hook does, is it calls out, hey, that thing that's relevant, important, and urgent to you right now, pay attention, because that's what I'm talking about, right? That's really what we want to be able to do, while factoring in this is different to the other solutions you've heard other people talk about in the marketplace. Okay, so that's really what we want to be able to do. And I want to skip forward to there. You can check out the program promise here, which is, a very simple template for you to be able to articulate what your promise is. That's relevant when you look at the script structure. And the offer qualifiers, this is also very relevant when you're going to be opening up with your New Hope hook, because you want to be able to qualify the prospect and say, hey, if you're like an education entrepreneur, right, who's sick and tired of launching, right, and you've already validated your product, but evergreen funnels haven't worked for you, right, and you're sick and tired of running endless launches, I'm here to tell you there's another approach that you can take that you probably haven't heard of. It's called the Open Everyday System. It works tremendously, right? And, if you give me 2 minutes, I'm going to explain to you how it works, right? That's like the essence of how I do it in my New Hope hook. But you can hear the qualifiers in there of who it's relevant for and who it isn't. And you want to be able to do that well, okay? Now, the New Hope story is really what I want to dive into here, because the New Hope story is what drives it all. And the New Hope story is the story that the marketplace is telling themselves. And we need to be able to put a crack in that so that they will pay more attention to what we have to offer. How do you do that? What are we talking about? Well, like with any story, there's always 2 parts to it. There's the old world and there's the new world, right? If you ever look at the hero's journey, there's always like the old world that the hero exists in, and then they have to go into the new world to like figure some stuff out, and then they come back to the existing world, right? Having been better off for it. And you basically want to be able to take people through that process, right? So how do you do it? Well, you need to realize that people are not ready or willing to leave the old world because it's risky, it's dangerous, and they're perfectly fine where they are right now, right? They want the treasure that exists in the new world, right? I.e., the treasure from solving the problem, but going on some failed adventure again is costly. So, what you need to do is you need to talk to the person and say, look, I know you have these beliefs, right, for why the previous solutions haven't worked for you in whatever way you've tried to solve the problem that we're talking about. But let me tell you that those beliefs are in fact not true, because the real reason something hasn't worked is because of A, B, and C. And that's really what you're doing when you're addressing people with a New Hope story, is you need to get clear. What have these people tried? There's probably solutions they've already tried, right? As they've tried to solve the problem that you're going to help them with. What are they? Right? What are the solutions they've tried, and why? What do they believe about why those solutions haven't worked? Why do they believe that the outcome they're after isn't possible for them? As an example, right? In my space, when we're talking about the open everyday system, a lot of people think, no one buys unless you're selling with a launch, and evergreen funnels don't really work the way that I can run my business. So I guess I have to launch all the time, because if I'm not launching, no one's buying. That's like a core belief that a lot of people I work with have at the start before we get diving into it, right? And I need to address that belief and say, look, I know that that's what you believe, but you know, we need to talk about that, because in fact, the real reason the thing hasn't worked, and that's when you talk to the second part here of the New Hope story, is the reveal, which is the real reason it hasn't worked for you is because A, B, and C, right? In my case, the real reason it hasn't worked is because, well, evergreen funnels don't really work all that well, because most people don't buy in the first 14 days of being on your list, right? Most people buy 3, 6, 9 months later. So if you've only designed an automated funnel that's 14 days long, like how can you expect to be getting all the sales that you need to run your business, right? What if you had a system that converted not just the people that were ready in the first 14 days, but over the long tail? How can we get those long tail conversions, right? That puts a crack in their belief and goes, oh, I didn't realize that, right? Maybe there's something to this. And now the person will lean in, and you can bring them into your new innovation. This is what Steve Jobs was amazing at, right? He was able to say, this is the problem, and it's a problem because everyone's doing it this way. And this way causes problems. Let me show you our new way of doing things, right? And that's really what the new innovation is all about, right? What new innovation have you arrived at or have you developed that now makes the outcome possible? In my situation with Open Every Day, it's like, well, we've developed this long tail conversion system where there's a way to be able to not just get the people who are ready to buy right now, but the people who are ready to buy later, 90 days, 180 days, 12 months later. What if you could get all those people coming in? And what if you could do it without having to do just this endless list of high pressure launches, right? At the core of your program is also an innovation. You have a different way of doing things to other people, right? And that is what you want to be articulating in this video and in your New Hope story. Now, we're really good at this, helping people do it and figuring out what that is. So if you'd like some help, right, shoot me a message, drop a comment below this video, right? We'll reach out and get you clear on this, because it's not immediately obvious to some people when they're going through this framework, because you're so close to your own stuff. But getting people clear on this is really, really what we're good at. So if you want some help with it, let me know. Now, once you propose a new way of doing things, people are going to have objections, right? If I say, well, I'm going to get you to do A, B, and C, right? Like we're going to do long-term email marketing, A, B, C, and whatnot. Sometimes people have objections, which is, well, I don't really want to write all these emails, or am I going to have to like write a daily email, right? There's all of these objections that people have to your proposed way of doing things, and you need to address those, or else people aren't really going to move forward with whatever it is you're going to propose. They're going to stop and not move forward because they're saying, oh, this is just going to be like that other thing, or I'm not able to do that, I'm not interested. So you need to be able to say, hey, there's this new adventure we're going to go on, right, with this innovation, and it's going to be totally cool and it's going to work for you, because all those objections that you've got for why it's not going to work aren't really worth paying attention to, right? Or you need to answer them and give them legit answers. Now, if you do this and you do this well, right, you get a lot of people open to the idea of what you've got, and they're actually ready to be closed in a lot of cases because you've given them hope. They want it to be true. And you need to be very responsible about doing writing scripts in this way because you have to have a solution that works. Because you're going to get a lot of people coming in and saying, well, I want to believe your solution. It seems like the type of thing that I need, right? So obviously you need to do this with integrity and not be saying stuff and presenting innovations that are not true, right? Now, in conjunction with this, you have your origin story, and your origin story is essentially how you discovered the innovation, right? It was your journey to solve this same problem and how you came up with the innovation that allowed you to produce or create some unique mechanism that's at the core of your solution, the core of your program, right? That's really what the origin story is. I'm not going to dive into it here, but the best formula I have found out there to articulate your origin story is Kevin Rogers' 60-second sales hook with the ISDR formula, which is identity, struggle, discovery, result. Who are you and why is it relevant? What's the problem and struggle that you encountered, right? What discovery is at the heart of your solution, i.e., what was the discovery that allowed you to create the unique mechanism for solving this problem, right? And result, what are you now capable of doing with this discovery and unique mechanism? What is the result of that? What is the system that delivers the outcome that you've created based on that discovery? Right? And if we go back here, if we go back here to the high level script, this is really what you're talking about in the argument, right? Is you're getting in here. The setup is all about your origin story. The real problem is all about the new hope story and the discovery. And the innovative solution is all about the demo. Demo your solution. Okay. If you're looking for ways to demonstrate your solution, check out the book here or the workbook if you go down here. There's two sheets here. There's the problem demo and there's the solution demo. A couple of ways that will help you think through what your demonstration might be. Not going to spend too much time on it because everyone's demonstration is going to be slightly different based on the problem that you're trying to solve. Okay. Um, Now that's pretty much it, right? Like if you get these parts of the script, if you're looking for how this actually plays out, right, be sure to go back and check the script structure, check out the actual sample script. But if you get this right, what's possible is you're able to get your core argument across really tightly. And you're able to get a lot of your new leads interested in what you have to say. You get more people engaging, more of your new leads engaging in conversation with you, signing up for your calls, signing up for your program. But you're also going to see a huge uptick in your long tail conversions. If you have a long tail conversion system where you have the ability to enroll people in consistently, weeks after weeks, months after month, not just in the first 14 days, you will start to see people joining who have been on your list for 6 months. 6 months later, the frequency at which the people who are going to be coming in is going to be a big, big, big uptick, right? I have people who were on my list and watched my packaging presentation like a year ago and they are just joining this past couple of weeks. And they're like, "Yeah, dude, I watched that series of videos like last year, and I was just waiting for the right time." And when you get this right, that's really what is possible. Okay. Now, if you'd like some help designing this script, pulling the elements together, right? You got two options. One, obviously, go below this video and grab your copy of the book, right? Got the workbook there that'll give you all the elements, the tools to map everything out. But also, once you grab that, like look on the second page. There's an offer there for you to be able to get a free help with assembling the script, right? We have mystery shoppers here that we can deploy into your business. We'll look through your funnel and we'll see where should this video be placed, at what sequence in your conversion process should it be placed, but also what are some of the key messages from your existing funnel, right? That we can pull out and say, yo, I think this is part of your new hope story. Here's how we can change your origin story, etc. These are some recommendations we can definitely make to you about how that can play out. So if that's something you'd want some help with, keep an eye on that for that on the second video or on the second page after you opt in. But that's pretty much it, right? Hopefully this has been helpful. If any other questions, drop them below. Otherwise, this has been Ross O'Loughlin. Thanks for staying here. And yeah, we'll catch you next time.